My dad did approach me about wanting to be the father of my baby in a storyline for TV, which again is only the second time I've ever actually said no to him for something he wanted to do. And that one was just a little too gross, actually. It's completely disgusting, and I don't find the entertainment value in it at all. And he's actually my father, so how could I even play that out? I can't fake kiss my dad like we were in love or something. I mean, it's just revolting all the way around. So then he came up with the idea for Shane to actually be the father of my baby, my brother. And I, again, just know that I know that sometimes that happens in this world, but it's not going to happen with us. I just can't do that. That's too much.
This ain't WCW. This ain't Monday Night Raw. This ain't SmackDown. This ain't even WWE.
It's still real to me, damn it!
Time restraints, a 30-minute time limit.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Marks on Commentary. I'm Jason Smith.
And I'm Eddie Brophy.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
It just now dawned on me that we still have that 30-minute time limit in our intro. And the past, 2 or 3 shows have probably gone about, 2 hours or so.
Yeah, that's about right.
Or an hour and change. So, we're long overdue. I mean, we need to include Kathryn, who unfortunately isn't here because I'm terrible at communication. So, and there's no seeming sense of regularity to doing these podcasts. So, she had no idea. Last minute, I'm like, hey, you want a podcast? I have people over, Eddie. Shit. I got to get better at that. But anyway, this is Marks on Commentary. I'm Eddie Brophy.
I'm Jason Smith.
Now, I know this probably, I don't know if maybe this was Jason's intention, but given the intro, at MO Commentary on Twitter, Marks on Commentary on Facebook, 978-276-9418, which I'm going to check in a minute, although I don't expect anyone to call. Given what Stephanie McMahon revealed regarding Vince's idea for her baby to be his or Shane's, kind of makes me want to ask any listeners we still have left, what is the worst or most revolting gimmick the WWE or any wrestling organization, WCW, TNA, has come up with to get, buy rates or to get, ratings? That, to me, just seems really fucked up that even crossed Vince's mind. But, Katie Vick.
Yeah, that's up there.
Mae Young's hand. I mean,
yeah.
I'm trying to think of these outlandish gimmicks that it's just I remember when Road Dogg and Billy Gunn were in TNA, they had an issue with the greased up fat guy. I forget his name. Dick something or other, but he was actually a writer, and it was the guy, the fat guy that the new DX or the old new DX were using.
That's tough.
And I'm trying to think of the 2 times that she's told her father no, because I think the second time was when Vince pursued Triple H to actually turn their wedding into a pay-per-view event.
Yeah, I saw that. That was on the clip that I pulled that from.
Yeah, it was on the Vince McMahon DVD.
Yeah.
Which actually, I thought that was a really good, a well-packaged DVD.
Yeah, there's some good ones out there. That's a good one.
I mean, I definitely think it could have. When it comes to Vince McMahon, you would need a 5-hour DVD set. Because the shit that people could say about him in terms of commentaries and just in terms of stories, you can't do it much justice within an hour or two.
No.
I'm sure there's shit that his family could reveal about him, but they probably won't until he dies.
Yeah. Stuff in the vault that they keep locked away.
Who knows? And I'm kind of curious, but there are a few things that I would like to touch on before we get into it. Well, Vince, speaking of the man, he tweeted earlier, expecting a big welcome for at CM Punk in Chicago on Sunday. I'm first in line, #Payback. I still think it's hysterical that this man even knows how to use a Twitter, or maybe he pays a young kid our age to actually use it for him.
Yeah, I don't think Vince regularly uses it. He's not sitting on an airplane and pull out his phone to tweet. He's pulling some intern aside saying, here, say this.
Well, it would be funny, too, because I know Jericho actually posted a picture, I think it was a year ago, of him at, a Twitter meeting, where, the WWE actually had a meeting about what was proper and what was inappropriate to post on, the superstars' Twitter pages. Because essentially it does belong to them, but it belongs to them under a likeness that is owned by the WWE, so whatever they say, ultimately represents the company. I love how we were bashing on social networking and wrestling, and here we are talking about it. I mean, it just came up. A few things to note with CM Punk returning. It's rumored that Rancid is now he has changed. He's going to dump Cult of Personality by Living Color, and he's actually going to adopt a new theme song when he shows up at the pay-per-view at Payback this Sunday. Do you have any thoughts on that? I mean, are you particularly attached to the theme song?
I am, and I'm not, because a weird thing struck me like a couple of weeks ago where I was like, wow, they had Living Color play WrestleMania. How much bigger can you get with the theme than that? You know what I mean? Like, that's the high point. If you were to ever do it, it would kind of be right after that.
Well, somebody did say on one of the message boards, and I know this is kind of true, is that whenever a superstar introduces a new theme or a new look, it generally ushers in like a change in their character. So if Punk is coming back as a babyface, obviously Chicago's not going to boo Punk, no matter how much of a dick he is. I mean, technically, you could argue that at Money in the Bank, he was like way over in terms of having heat. And John Cena got booed out of the building, and CM Punk, like, the rafters were shaking for that guy.
Yeah.
And that was at, like, the pinnacle of him being a heel. And it's funny, too, because I was thinking about him, like, I hate Avenged Sevenfold. That's, like, one of the worst fucking bands in the world to me. And I really loved his first song.
Yeah. It worked. Like, certain themes work for certain guys. But, I don't know. I just kind of attached that song now. Even if I'm sitting in the car and it comes on the radio, like, that's his song. Like, that's him. That's his persona. I don't know why you want to tweak it. Like, change it. Like, you know, changing John Cena's theme at this point is kind of like, I don't really think, you know, they shouldn't do it. Same with Triple H. Like, there's so many guys' themes where that song is ingrained and it becomes almost bigger than themselves.
Well, at this point, Triple H and Motorhead are almost synonymous with each other. I mean, I thought it was funny watching the Lemmy documentary and Triple H, because they're actually really good friends, which I think is hysterical. But more so because Triple H, he kind of represents what a majority of Motorhead's fan base looks like, which is like the mutton chops, well, not anymore, but the mutton chops, the long hair, the leather, you know, the denim jacket over the leather jacket. Like, he totally owned the persona of the band he was using to introduce them.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I was really let down when he abandoned his last theme, which was My Time, which is still one of my favorite WWE themes of all time. Like, that was the reason I ran out and bought Volume 4. What was it, 99, 7th grade?
Something like
at
that.
Strawberries for, what, $18, whatever. I remember I made fun of you because I remember being at the bike rack at Stoneham Middle School, and you had a cassette. I remember, like, going up to you and being like, why do you have a cassette? And you just kind of looked at me like, because they're cheaper. Like,
I don't even remember that, but that is my exact logic.
Well, that's the funny thing is, like, I have this, like, insane photogenic memory of the shit that doesn't even matter. And I remember, like, I can actually pantomime what I did to you, which was, like, you gave me that. I'm like, all right, that sounds right. But, and I kind of motion, like, the pencil, trying to rewind the tape after it gets eaten. And I'm like, but, Jason, this, like, that doesn't work at, like, because at the time we were doing backyard wrestling. I'm like, so do you use cassette tapes at your, Jason?
We did.
Yeah, this is the internet era, like, MP3s, Napster, like cassettes.
They cost money.
Yeah, meanwhile, I'm sitting here, you know, going back and forth with a girl on OkCupid, being like, I'm going to make you a cassette. And then, you know, flashback to me picking on poor little... If you can picture Jason in the 7th grade. But Jason, cassettes? Join the new era, you loser.
I just walk away with the Charlie Brown music, you know, in a full Taz shirt.
I think you were, because you wore the shit out of that orange Taz shirt. Even you.
I love that shirt.
I remember you got that. Didn't you get that at an event too?
Yeah. I got that at a SmackDown in 2000.
All right, if we go there, the first time I met Jason. Well, no, I mean this is later 6th grade when we were in a different room for sped math. I was wearing a Stone Cold T-shirt, which I was super embarrassed by because when I bought it, my dad cursed me out. And then again, to the guy that. I believe he said he was from the Boston area, Saugus. Square One Mall wrestling store. Bought this like badass Stone Cold shirt and had 3 skulls at the bottom. If you press the skull, it played like the theme music or like a line or something.
That's awesome.
And it had a battery pack in it. I remember my dad was like, "You gotta take the battery pack out. You're gonna get in so much trouble." What the fuck, Eddie? I remember sitting in class being so proud of my Stone Cold shirt, and who's the first guy to fucking notice? Jason looks over and goes, "Is that the one with the battery pack?"
Did I say that?
You did. That
dude, I don't remember this shit at all.
Dude, that was like one of the first I remember the first conversation we had was because I used to draw Chucky on my, you know, Stop and Shop paper bag book cover. You're like, wow, that's Chucky. It's like, holy shit, this kid's awesome. And then, like, you know, fast forward a few months later, and you just like, is that a battery pack? Did you take it out? I hope you took it out.
I'm all concerned for your shirt.
Well, I think Jason was a little disappointed that it wasn't saying, because Stone Cold said, like, in the middle, because I'm not, like, poking at skulls on my shirt and having them say, yeah, because that was, you know, forward logic in 1999 was T-shirts that could talk. That won't get obnoxious at all. Allegedly, this is supposedly, I'll play a little bit of it, but this is what I found on YouTube, so it's super reliable. It's Rancid. It's called "Fuck You." Apparently, they announced at a concert that CM Punk was attending that they say they had written this brand new song for him, but according to other YouTube videos, this song came out in 2012, so I can't definitively say, oh, this is his new song. I'm personally not a Rancid fan to begin with, so the fact that he's going from Cult of Personality to a Rancid song doesn't really work for me. But I know he's tight with the guys in Rancid, like, that's just Punk's thing. But allegedly, this is what it could possibly sound like at Payback. Ugh. 19 seconds in, and I already hate it.
It's terrible. It sounds like, I don't want to say surfer-ish, but it's like, it's too upbeat for Punk.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I hate Avenged Sevenfold, but that song just immediately pops the crowd. Like, that was just such a perfect song yet. And then Cult of Personality, perfect song. That's way too long. It's way too long. It's way too happy. It's way too... and not sound ridiculous. It's way too Punk, is what it is. Like, Punk songs are very simplistic, 3-4 chord progressions. You got to give Punk something a little more to get the crowd into it, because essentially, to me, what a lot of people associate Punk with, other than being best in the world, is Cult of Personality.
Yeah.
And I hate to spend so much time, like, being emphatic about theme songs, but it's true. I mean, they've done interviews with superstars that have said, like, the theme is what gets you in the mindset. Like, you show up to a venue and your head's not even really into the pay-per-view or the Raw, the SmackDown. When you hear your theme and then you hear the crowd pop or boo, I mean, think of the glass shattering Stone Cold comes out. I mean, essentially, that's what makes you pop for a superstar, is just hearing that song.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a myriad of directions we could take with that, even asking people, again, 978-276-9418 or at MO Commentary on Twitter, best theme songs, like definitively, gun to your head, what is the greatest theme song? And that could be argued for hours, because there's so many. And Jim Johnson, his compositions are so fucking phenomenal. That guy's come up with so many iconic trademarks for certain superstars.
Exactly.
But I don't want to hijack the show like I normally do. Jason, you did say I'm trying to get better at this and better at communicating with Kathryn about being on shows. But you said you had some stuff for us to talk about tonight.
I mean, basically, we gotta have the pay-per-view Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that was the funny thing. My days all blend together now, so I'm just like, shit, we have a pay-per-view?
Yeah.
We do. And it's got an updated card. That's the tricky thing, is now it's got a far different card than the one we bitched about last show.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so I don't know. Let's just jump around the card if you want. And I think the one change that stood out for me is the IC title match now. You know,
Wade Barrett, Miz, and Curtis Axel, because Fandango has a concussion. Allegedly has a concussion.
So what are your thoughts of him being in there now?
You know, I was going to ask you good, bad, and different. I actually don't hate this match card right now. Like, starting with this match, I think this has a shit ton of potential.
Yeah.
I mean, Wade Barrett and The Miz, we've seen it. I'm tired of it. But Curtis Axel's the wild card now. And I mean, much like what happened at the last pay-per-view with Kofi and Dean Ambrose, there's your guy. That's my go-to, Curtis Axel, new Intercontinental Champion, because that title is synonymous with his father.
That's funny you say that, because I don't know if you watched the, like, what is it, the backstage YouTube, like, post-interview thing that they do. Sunday is Father's Day, and they the connection to Curtis Axel and everything like that, and how it kind of would be like a cool gift almost to, like, win it for his father. And I was like, wow, like, that just sold me on a different level. Like,
well, I mean, I don't again, Jason can lie and say I post on Twitter. I don't post on Twitter. I very rarely post on Facebook, but with Father's Day coming up, I posted a link, given what my father's gone through, what he's going through, with Bret Hart and Stu Hart. Personally, if that is the angle they're going for, I mean, it's cheesy, it's an easy pop, I guess, but for those that actually give a shit, I'm talking actual wrestling fans who loved Mr. Perfect, and it's almost like Randy Orton and Bob Orton. I mean, it wasn't the world's greatest storyline, but how cool was it to see Bob Orton and Randy Orton against The Undertaker? I mean, the whole angle, just getting to see the lineage of WWE superstars who are second or third generation is always cool to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't hate the idea. I really don't. And I think that's a good way to legitimize Curtis Axel, if you ask me. I mean, especially, too, because it's the vintage IC title belt.
Exactly.
Come on. It's the white strap. It's the vintage. Like, I thought it was phenomenal when Cody Rhodes introduced the new belt. I think it's even cooler that it could wind up in the hands of Mr. Perfect's son, Curtis Axel. So, I mean, I'm all for it. I think that while it may not be the match of the night, I think it certainly has a shit ton of potential.
Absolutely.
Personally, I think match of the night, honestly, could go to Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan, which originally, from what I've read, this was supposed to be a Orton-Bryan match, where Bryan, was supposed to go over as babyface, Orton goes heel. The two singles matches they had on Raw, there's a part of me that wanted to be delusional and think that anyone within WWE listens to this podcast, because that was such a solid Raw.
Yeah.
That was one of the most solid,
top to bottom.
Yeah, into, go home pay-per-view Raws I've seen in so fucking long. That was such a solid Raw.
Yeah.
I mean, high points for you. I mean, we'll stay on topic with Payback, but in terms of Raw, I mean, were there high points for you?
I actually enjoyed the chemistry, or the whole scenario between Triple H and Vince McMahon. Like, I'm going to come down and the match is disqualified. And then I loved how Triple H made it a 60-minute Iron Man match. I don't know. I popped for that. I thought that was hysterical.
No, I won't lie. I laughed at that. I was literally, like, cackling when Vince took the bell and left.
Yeah, that was great. Like,
well, I like that because, again, it follows into Father's Day. Now, Triple H, I don't know the man personally, but for what I've heard, he's come from a pretty good family, so I'm sure he's pretty close with his own father. But the father-son relationship, and it kind of breaks my heart because it makes me think of Shane, but the father-son relationship between Triple H and Vince is so fucking awesome to watch. Like, it's almost as if you forget the fact that Triple H is technically married into the family, and it's like, to me, this is how a father and son would argue.
Yeah.
Like, the son's just like, no, I'm going to fucking do this. And then Vince comes out like, fuck you, I'm taking your belt. I'm going home. And even the backstage with Steph, and I honestly, I laughed so hard when Steph kept getting in the middle and screaming at them. And she goes in, Triple H, like, he's not going to like what I have to say. She goes to Vince, well, he's not going to like what I have to say. Like, I actually thought that was hysterical.
Yeah.
I mean, I was actually on the fence of messaging you and being like Triple H versus Vince, like winner gets the company sort of thing. But I almost look at it more now like I kind of like the idea of Vince telling Triple H, like, dude, you're bigger than this. Like, just sit behind your desk and take over the company already. Like, you don't need to wrestle. And I don't think, because a lot of people could argue that maybe that was burying Curtis Axel, when really I think it was almost like Vince listening to the fans and being like, we don't need another dinosaur in the ring. What we need is a guy from the ring in the office, because you know what you're doing.
I took it from the perspective of, you don't need to be in this match because I need to save you for a WrestleMania. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like a bigger event, something that's going to be the marquee name on, and something we can promote for a long time, not this Monday Night Raw throwaway match. That's how I looked at it.
Well, you could also argue that was a big SummerSlam kind of nudge. Like, Triple H is going to have, top bill at SummerSlam, but against who? Like, he's already wrestled Brock a number of times. Like, he's wrestled CM Punk. Like, who's a big enough name to put in the ring with Triple H at this point?
I don't know where you go with this.
A part of me kind of wants to be like, maybe Rock? Like, I feel like there's almost a reason why Triple H kind of joked, okay, it's a 60-minute Iron Man match. Like, is that foreshadowing of what could happen at SummerSlam?
I doubt it. I don't know. It would be an opportunity to push somebody like Ziggler or something like that. Somebody who can go, but I don't know.
I'm actually really let down that Kathryn's not here because the Divas champion match, Caitlyn versus AJ, and Big E came out with the flowers.
Oh, yeah.
And literally, Kathryn needs a segment on the show where she just predicts wrestling. Because I swear to God, she was telling, I don't know if she told Jason, but she had told me literally through the whole angle, Big E's going to come out, AJ's going to fuck up Caitlyn, there's your match. And I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Sure enough, I'm talking with her on Facebook, and here comes Big E. I'm just like, you are clairvoyant. What the fuck is this? Like, do you... Because she was supposed to intern for WWE this summer, but some shit happened, and she couldn't.
Oh, no shit.
And a part of me was kind of like, were you fucking with me? Like, are you in Connecticut right now? Like, are you kind of like hinting to Jason and I, like, hey, if you start including me in the intro and, you know, actually telling me when the shows are coming, I'm in Stamford, Connecticut, and I'll actually tell you what's going to happen. Because that's the way it's starting to come across with Kathryn. But yeah, that was another segment that I didn't hate. Like, I actually thought that segment was really well put together. It was well scripted. It was well done.
Absolutely. It's about time that they bring... That's what we were talking about. Like, that's why we spent 2 hours last week, or Sunday, talking about they need to put more life into the characters themselves.
Well, that's the funny thing is because, granted, it was terribly acted. Like, AJ's the worst overactor. I mean, she's not even Jim Carrey overacting. She's just bad. And, you know, Caitlyn, the fake tears, they should have given her, like, a saline solution or something because she was so bad at it. But at least they're fucking trying.
Yeah.
Like, I mean... Granted, I wasn't surprised by the twist that took as much as I'm surprised that, like, Tyson Kidd and Natalya are engaged.
Oh, yeah.
That's another story for another day. But, yeah, I was kind of like, what? She can't marry Eddie now? Fuck you. But looking over this match card again, I mean, Dean Ambrose Kane.
I called it last month.
Jason did call it last month. Well, because they are still building for Undertaker Kane versus... Roman and Reigns, but where's Dean Ambrose falling? I mean, this is another, because I remember you called me a smart mark when we were watching the pay-per-view. It was the ambulance match with Kane and, you know, John Cena. You're like, why are they doing this? I'm like, Kane has a great record of protecting the guys he wrestles. Is this another case of, like, if Ambrose gets over Kane, like, he's kind of like a made guy because you have a veteran? And a lot of people argue this. Kane is a veteran. Like, he's paid his dues. And he's a
veteran. He's a former... you know, WWE and World Heavyweight Champion. So he has that credential. It's not a bad thing to pick up along the way, but I don't know if you can walk out there and tout it.
Now, Sheamus and Damian Sandow, the match kickoff on YouTube. I know Kathryn is just, like, freaking out over this because she's been following SmackDown. I don't, because I think SmackDown shit, but at least we have someone on the show who follows SmackDown. I know this is probably going to be like her, like, I'm sold. I wasn't sold until Raw, where I did see some of the playbacks. I was like, you know, it's not a horrible idea. It's not a horrible idea, especially for a kickoff match. If it was an actual match, I'd have a bigger problem with it. But for a kickoff on YouTube, it's not a horrible idea.
No. I mean, at least there's time develop, like we said, time developed to a storyline. It doesn't matter that it's on the kickoff show. What would suck about those is there were matches just kind of thrown together at the last minute. You know, here's Miz and Cody Rhodes. I don't know. One's a heel, one's a face. Fight. Who cares? But now it's like, wow, there's actually a story behind it, and maybe this will develop into the next pay-per-view.
Well, I'm looking over this match card now. You still have Cena, Ryback, 3 Stages of Hell. Ryback's not getting the title. That's a giveaway match. It's going to be Cena.
Yeah. I did see something online that this is being used to get Cena over for a summer run. What? I don't know if you caught that one.
I did, but then I was reading the whole thing about Bryan and Cena, and then Bryan might go heel on Orton, which I think is disrespectful to Orton and Bryan, because I think if you have Bryan Cena, it doesn't, again, it's one of those Punk Cena matches. It does not matter who's the good guy or who's the bad guy. Yeah. Clearly, I mean, if you watch this Monday's Raw, everybody loves Bryan. Goat face or not, they fucking love that guy. And that's the cool thing about Bryan. Even when he came in and he was unceremoniously fired for being too violent when, you know, he was part of Nexus, and then he came out at SummerSlam as, you know, the team with Bret Hart and them. He's had a pop since he's been in the company. Like, just trust the fact that you don't have to turn this guy, you don't have to keep him a babyface, just let him wrestle.
Yeah.
Let him and honestly, give him to Cena.
Yep.
But, you know, it was something Paul Heyman actually in an interview he did. It came up, and, you know, his ideal WrestleMania main event, he said, I have a very standard answer for that because it's the most genuine answer I can give someone. I think the main event for WrestleMania 30 should be a battle for the WWE Championship against the World Heavyweight Championship that unifies the titles. And that match should feature Brock Lesnar versus CM Punk, with Paul Heyman advising both men and therefore getting a percentage of profit on both sides of the main event at WrestleMania. I realize he's saying that facetiously, but I've been telling you, and I've been beating this dead horse, unify the titles already, because whoever gets that title not only should be a younger guy, it should mean that the younger talent is a made man.
Yeah.
And I honestly, WrestleMania 30 at this point, put Bryan in the main event. I know Punk's long overdue, and that's like his last, this is what I've yet to accomplish in the WWE, but Bryan is long overdue for a solid actual title run, not like a Money in the Bank, I'm going to cash in on, show after he wins it, and I'm going to get like the illegitimate win. Like a legitimate fucking, shoulders to the mat, 1, 2, 3, Bryan's the champion. And he's going to be a long-running champion and not like, he gets bro kicked within fucking 7 seconds and it's over.
Yeah.
Like, how disrespectful. Like, to me, that's still one of the most disrespectful things WWE's done to a younger talent.
Especially because it comes off the heels of the year before where their match got, like, bumped and changed at the last minute to be something else.
Right. Well, yeah, because the year before, if I'm not mistaken, I could be, was Del Rio Edge.
No, I'm talking about how Daniel Bryan and Sheamus fought in the pre-show, and then they changed it and mutilated it in the last minute.
In that regard, yeah. I was thinking more or less the fact that the World Championship opened the fucking pay-per-view, and the younger guy got the snub. Obviously, in the case of Del Rio Edge, it was because Edge was retiring. The company knew it, and they wanted him to retire as a champion. But it was still like, dude, if he's going to retire a champion, why not make that, like, second to last? Just to show Edge, like, this is what we're giving you for so many years of loyalty in the company, but also to Del Rio, who, and again, maybe I'm a year or two off because Del Rio won the Royal Rumble in Boston, so yeah, it was probably 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And they were priming him to be, like, the next big thing, and bam, Edge took him out, and it was, like, nothing, and then it was like, okay, now what?
My only thought of why they might have done something like that was to protect Edge, because they knew he was fucked up at that point. And you don't want to go out of WrestleMania with your top babyface hurt, like really hurt, and it has to be stretchered out on a gurney or something like that to end WrestleMania. That's my only thinking of why they didn't do something like that.
The funny thing about why you say that is the same pay-per-view Undertaker was wheeled out by Triple H.
That's true.
So, I mean, and speaking of Undertaker, because he did an interview with I want to say the Houston Chronicle, where they asked him about, why do you still wrestle? And he was quoted saying, honestly, I love it, that's why. I've got 26 years in the business and all these injuries, but WrestleMania has become so huge it's hard to walk away from it. I want the audience leaving the stadium going, wow, it's a responsibility I have being a top dog in the business. The crowd will let me know when it's time to leave. They haven't yet. If I didn't perform at WrestleMania in some strange weird way, it would feel like I was letting Vince McMahon down. Now, it's an interesting quote because is Undertaker... Because you can argue now, because nobody wants to see one of the most beloved characters, and it's such a crappy... I've said this time and time again, and Undertaker is not the world's greatest athlete, but he's the fucking man. Everybody loves Taker. Yeah. Everybody. It does not matter who you are. Even David Lee Roth loves fucking Undertaker.
You can go to the most hardcore, like, indie show, fuck WWE, that guy loves The Undertaker.
So, I mean... I gotta wonder, because people argue, like, he only does it for the money. Honestly, from what I've read, and again, I don't know these men personally from a hole in the wall, and I don't know Vince McMahon, the actual human being, aside from television Mr. McMahon, because even Kevin Nash has said, I think it was on Twitter, somebody saying, like, I don't think Vince McMahon is the guy that everyone thinks he is, and Kevin Nash had kind of concurred with him, was like, dude, Vince McMahon made me a millionaire. Like, I think people can't decipher the Mr. McMahon, the character, from Vince McMahon, the businessman. Vince McMahon has made a lot of guys millionaires and, like, iconic. But I've always read and seen that Vince McMahon's like a father figure backstage. Like, if you see the behind-the-stage stuff with Shawn Michaels and Vince at the Hall of Fame, and Vince and him hugging, and Vince kisses him and basically whispers something in his ear, basically probably telling him, like, you're like a son to me. And even in wrestling in Shadows, or with Shadows with Bret Hart, explaining his relationship with Vince, Undertaker's getting up there. Obviously, Vince is in his 70s, but it's like Undertaker probably still views Vince like a father figure. And I'm not trying to go with this like whole Father's Day theme, but you got to figure like, I mean, this is the guy that made you. I mean, there was an interview where Undertaker even revealed like, you know, he was all nervous because he hadn't heard from WWE after like an interview and a tryout, and Vince called him and was like, "Is this my Undertaker?" And Mark was like, "Yeah, hell yeah, I'm your Undertaker." Like, the Undertaker, essentially, whether you like it or not, that's Vince's character. That's his baby. He has done everything to protect his Undertaker. I mean, you got to kind of figure, like, in Undertaker's world, or Mark Calloway's world, there's two father figures. There was William Moody, pallbearer, and there was Vince McMahon. You know, both men were instrumental in, you know, navigating his career. So, I mean, as much as I don't want to see the Undertaker turn into a Flair or Hogan, there is a sense of loyalty with Mark Calloway and that company as being one of the last of the top stars.
Yeah.
I mean, you think of Flair and Hogan, they both jumped ship to TNA. People tend to forget these things. Like, Mick Foley jumped ship. Like, a lot of these people, Undertaker, Michaels, Triple H, people like that. Even Bret Hart never jumped. Well, Bret Hart, WCW, but, I mean, they bought WCW, so. It's still Vince's company. It's still Vince's company, I guess. But like, Undertaker, your main three, Undertaker, Triple H, Michaels, like, they
Stone Cold.
Stone Cold, yeah. And Stone Cold doesn't really have anything to do with wrestling anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the funny thing, too, is, like, Cena is going to be one of those guys. I think Punk will be one of those guys. Like, Punk.
Oh, yeah.
And Punk has wrestled in Ring of Honor. He's wrestled for TNA. He's wrestled as many grievances as Punk probably has with WWE. I even think, like, when Punk was talking about his change of heart on his DVD with Vince and going in Vince's office and talking with Vince, like, you'd even, to me, when I saw that DVD, that's when I was like, dude, Punk's a made man. Because he can go in Vince's office and be like, dude, this is how it is.
Yeah.
And I think he even said on the DVD, like, even if Vince doesn't give you what you want, he'll still sit there and he'll listen to you and be like, all right, I'll see what I can do. Like, I see your point of view. I may not like it, I may not agree with it, but I'll at least give you whatever amount of time you want to tell me what you think I need to hear. So, I mean, it's arguable because a lot of people can bitch about Vince McMahon, and we've done our fair share. Doesn't mean that I think he's any less of a fucking genius or a pioneer in this industry. Like,
oh, absolutely.
You know, Vince owns wrestling as far as I'm concerned. As much of a prick as he comes across, he owns wrestling.
Definitely.
So, I mean, did you want to give predictions? Where do you want to go from here?
Yeah, I mean, we can run down the card quick if you want to do, like, predictions of where things going, so.
All right, well, then I'll go this route. Cena retains, Ziggler retains, Punk gets over Jericho, because I think Jericho's leaving for Fozzy anyway. I think Rollins and Reigns will retain. I see Curtis Axel, I see Ambrose retains. I almost see AJ getting the Divas title, and I see Sheamus getting the win over Damian.
Yeah, I could pretty much agree, actually, with all of that. Maybe the Divas title, maybe Caitlyn hangs on for another month, but aside from that, yeah, I'll agree with you, actually.
I mean, the only way I see Caitlyn, AJ losing the match personally is if Big E fucks something up. Like, if he actually does like Caitlyn and he inadvertently, because AJ inadvertently cost Big E that match. Lest we forget, AJ cost Big E a match. What if Big E does it to AJ and that's what splits up the group?
Maybe.
I mean, it's overly predictable, but it is what it is. Like,
but there's always the swerve, you know. We'll see something that we didn't see coming, and you know, I've never completely guessed a pay-per-view through and through. So,
and again, I was shocked by this past week's Raw because I didn't see any of that coming.
Yeah.
I mean, promos to matches wasn't like a 4-star Raw, but it was pretty damn close.
Yeah.
And again, they didn't need Punk. They did not need Punk. And I'm not saying that we don't need Punk now. I'm just saying that save him for the pay-per-view. Save him for the buy rates. Like, you don't need him for, you know, the go-home pay-per-view. Because essentially, like, they were airing the promos with, you know, Punk returning. That's enough to get people interested enough to actually pay for the or stream or whatever, however they get their hands on the pay-per-view. I laugh because I'm like, oh, I just encourage streaming.
So doesn't Paul Heyman. He talked about being at watching WrestleMania 28 on a bootleg stream during like a WrestleMania press conference this year. So we feel bad.
We have no sympathy. I mean, so do we have anything on the Twitter feed this week? Is there? Because I'm actually going to check the phone.
Yeah, we can run down some stuff. This one's from DSE Wrestling. Can Bray Wyatt be a top heel in WWE? Remains to be seen, I think. But
that's an excellent question. And I legitimately mean that's an excellent question. Time will tell is really where I say. I think time will tell because personally, I'm a bad guy to ask because at one point I thought Gangrel was going to be a top heel in the company. So I'm terrible to ask these questions too.
It's a whole different story. Like, yeah, there's great promos. Yeah, there's great videos. What happens when he gets out there? How does he perform? Like, I haven't watched any matches. I'm sure he has some competence in the ring, but that's going to be the ultimate test is like, how well does he come across to, he can play in front of, Full Sail University. That's fine. Get it out into 20,000 people. How does it work?
I mean, I've heard good reviews about his dark matches because, I mean, even though we're not seeing it on TV, he has been wrestling dark matches with that gimmick and with those video promos. So, I mean, until we see it on TV, until we see a televised crowd react to it, time will tell. I mean, I have all the hope in the world because, again, we're not saying this to sound like snobs or sound like the hipsters of wrestling. We're just saying this because it's what you guys are thinking or you don't have the fucking balls to say. I'm tired of the dinosaurs in WWE, and the dinosaurs are guys that I love. I'm talking, Kane, Taker, Triple H, Brock Lesnar. And, people are still gunning for Angle and RVD. I'm tired of the dinosaurs. I want to see the guys our age that are in the company presently doing something remarkable with, like I said, again, even if the gimmicks are terrible, doing something amazing with those gimmicks the same way Mark Calloway did it with the Undertaker gimmick.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is time. I mean, even if at some point we're going to get to that point with, Randy Orton, Cena, they're getting closer. Like when Undertaker got 10 years in the company, that was like, wow, 10 years. Like Cena and Randy Orton are pretty much already past that, haven't they? Well, they're right there now. So. And
Jason sent me on Facebook. Am I supposed to read this now?
If you'd like.
If I'd like, okay, because we have apparently we have people that want us. Is it us or is it me? Who's reading this?
Us.
Okay, us. This is gonna be very difficult to do on a podcast with the two of us doing this because we haven't decided to take turns.
Oh, yeah, you can do it. Sorry, I thought you meant like, is it coming from you or is it coming from me? It's coming from us, but you can read it.
Oh, I get to read. Thank you for putting me on the spot. Good thing.
Sorry.
Whoever is in charge of this, because Jason is a phenomenal networker. I'm just the asshole that gets, drinks bourbon and does the show and talks about shit that I probably shouldn't. But anyways, so, all right, a live read. This is the first attempt that he's going to do this. Do you want to become the... I already fucked it up.
I'm sorry.
Hold on. I'm doing that thing with my hands where I go, and scene. Do you want to become the best wrestler on the internet? Now you can. Join the WrestlingGame.com, a browser-based wrestling game that boasts over 150,000 players spanning across the world, with over 500 moves to select, 5 different classes, and a ton of skills to customize your wrestler. The WrestlingGame.com is one of the most robust browser-based experiences. Become a superstar, the wrestling game.
Word.
Bam. $12,000 at a broadcasting school that did nothing for me. I can cut promos. All right, WrestlingGame.com. I can cut promos.
Okay, well, I'll reward you. David M. Payne, Fuck, Marry, Kill, Trish, AJ, Stacy. Stacy Keebler.
I'm sorry, who did this again?
David M. Payne.
David M. Payne, go fuck yourself. Okay, this is one of the hardest Fuck, Marry, Kills I've ever. Oh my God, I hate you, but I love you because this is the best thing about this game. Because I used to do this, Jason knows. I used to do this on the podcast that I did. You have to make this hard because now it's like, oh my God, like I have to think about this. AJ would be incredible in the sack. Like you'd fuck that girl, break the bed, piece the fuck out, no cuddling. Like she's too crazy to cuddle with. Probably fuck her. God, Stacy Keebler or Trish Stratus. I've always been a fan of both, but Stacy Keebler's legs. I'm a leg guy. I'm not a boob guy. I'm a leg guy. I would probably marry Stacy Keebler and kill Trish Stratus, and that kills me because that sucks.
Yeah.
All the power to you, man, because that was a great fuck, marry, kill. What do you got, Jason?
I would probably kill AJ. and marry Stacy.
Oh, she's so fucking hot though, and
yeah, but she's fucking nuts.
But you don't understand. I've slept with enough girls. I mean, these are girls that were on suicide watch and psych wards. Like, it's a terrible context here, but they are so good in bed.
But your reward is Trish Stratus for doing so.
It's true, but she's really... Well, okay, with Trish Stratus you get yoga, which means you get yoga pants. But I also don't like the idea of being with a girl who I know could kick my ass. As much as I love strong, independent women,
Does that mean you could kick any one of the other women's ass?
No, I'm just saying, like, just being afraid of your girlfriend all the time. Like, there's a specific time.
Yeah, that sucks.
There's a time and a place to be afraid of your girlfriend. But then again, there comes AJ, because AJ's the type of girl, like, you would be afraid of, because it's like, man, she fucks really well and she's cute as hell, but she's probably going to cut my penis off tonight. Like Bobbit style. She's going to throw it out the fucking passenger window, done and done, and I'm going to be a eunuch the rest of my life. But then you have Trish Stratus, who's fucking gorgeous, and she's fucking tough as shit. But then it's like, I'm not good enough for you. Like, at least AJ's crazy. Like, AJ's standards are, like, below subpar because she's nuts.
Yeah.
Like, AJ's the type of girl you pick up at a methadone clinic because you're like, you have no self-esteem. Enter Eddie. So I'm just throwing that out there. I don't even know if we did the wrestling game justice, but...
we sandwiched it with a nice, some nice tweets.
I think we did. I mean, if they don't like it, then we're not getting paid.
It's a free plug. We're not getting paid for it.
I know, we're not getting paid. I'm not getting paid for this. Jason totally bitched out. Eddie, you read it. Okay, hold on. Take two. And the only reason I do is because I'm trying to read it off of, like, my Facebook, like, little message thing. So I'm just like, oh, I could normally... What the fuck does that say? What is that word? Jason, did you spell that correctly?
I didn't spell it. They sent it to me.
They send us shit now.
Yep.
How they even listen to the show is beyond me. But anyways, well, we didn't.
We got some more tweets if you want. If you want,
please, by all means. Actually, this is the only time, actually, for the record, this is the only time I actually respond to any of you. If Jason says it's me, he's full of shit because it's not me. I don't even know what our Twitter password is. Continue, Jason.
He's lying. At NB Podcast, should Daniel Bryan turn heel this summer or stay put?
That's a really excellent question because I don't know. Because I almost feel like it would hurt him if he turned heel because the Daniel Bryan that everybody loves right now is Goatface. And again, we talked on the last show when Mick Foley asked, is that hurting him? No, because it's getting him a pop. If you're getting a pop and you can actually fucking wrestle, what's the harm in it? It's an exciting question because you're not going to know until it happens.
Yeah.
So if he does go heel again, because, you know, technically he went heel when he was an abusive boyfriend. And you have to wonder, well, did anyone give a shit that he lost the title in, like, record timing? I don't think they did because, really, at the time, the only thing they clung to was the yes chant. They weren't clinging on to Bryan. Dude, the fucking match he had this Monday, people clung to him. Like, that was one of the greatest that was a 4-star match. At this point, I want Bryan to reach Punk level, and I think he's close, where he transcends babyface or heel, and he's just an awesome fucking wrestler. We'll cheer for him no matter what. Yeah.
This could shape up to be the the summer of Daniel Bryan.
Oh, God, I hope so, man, because the thing about Bryan is he just seems like such a genuinely down-to-earth, cool guy.
Yeah.
But he can fucking wrestle. And he can work with anybody. I mean, if you can work with AJ Lee, work with Kane, work with Punk, work with all these different guys, give him the fucking belt already. Like, I mean, the belt doesn't make the man. But, I mean, the fact that people are still chanting yes after, almost 2 years now?
Mm-hmm.
I give you the Fandango theme craze. That's already done and over with. Like, people are still chanting yes. I'm still using the yes YouTube video every time something good happens in my life. That's what shows you why it has staying power, because Daniel Bryan is he's from fucking Seattle, dude. Like, there's no pretension to him. Like, he just is who he is.
Exactly.
So.
Let me run through another Twitter. At the under tweeter. Worst gimmick matches in WWE, WCW history.
Have you not been a fan of ours, Mr. Undertweeter? All right, well, anyways, if you haven't, because I know some of our older shows have like 60 listens, whereas the newer ones have close to like 300, which, again, thank you guys so much. If you're listening and you're actually listening, That's fucking awesome. Like, I've done podcasts where, like, the most listens you get is, like, 20, and you're like, yeah, it's a victory. When you get 300, like, I posted so many pictures where I, like, because I'm not a Photoshop guy, I'm a Microsoft Paint guy, would circle the number of listens we get. I'm just like, yeah, this is awesome. We're famous. When in reality, it's like, holy fucking shit, people like this shit. So, thank you all. And for those of you who, the fucking sumo fucking monster truck match in WCW with Hogan and the Giant is definitely up there. Oh, you got some good ones though, Jason.
Yeah, I posted what was it? The Chamber of Horrors match. That's always a favorite of mine, where it's like an electric chair in the middle of the ring. It's got like 8 guys. I think Abdullah and Cactus Jack are one of them. I think Scott Hall's in there.
I think
it's just like a clusterfuck of whatever.
I think I gotta always go with the pole matches, like the pink slip or the nightstick on the pole matches.
Pinata.
Oh my god, it's so fucking bad. Like, who comes up with that shit?
The what was it? The 4 boxes around the WCW ring, and one has the belt, and the other, I don't know.
There's just so many fucking matches where you're just like, really? I mean, even the Kennel from Hell match, like, on paper, I remember being in 9th grade and being like, that's gonna be fucking awesome, and then buying the VHS and seeing the Rottweilers pissing all over the fucking mat and being like, are you fucking kidding me right now?
I'm trying to think of what are some terrible WWE matches. Like, oh, what did I find recently? They did like some on Raw, on like one of the old Raws in like '95. They did some like football themed Raw where the ring looked like a football mat and everything. It was fucking horrendous.
All right,
looking.
can we go with the JBL inspired Brawl for All matches where wrestlers actually boxed each other?
You know where that came from? Where JBL, like, this was the point where like Vince Russo was like taking suggestions from people, and JBL like was like, hey, why don't we have a hardcore division? And that's what became.
You know what's funny too is that he was, before Tommy Dreamer, a lot of people don't know this because it was so fleeting. Bradshaw actually had his own custom made hardcore title.
Yep.
In like 2001 or 2, and I remember that because they were like, oh, it's like the Stone Cold Smoking Skull belt, and he lost the belt that match. It's like, really?
Texas hardcore champion, I think he was calling himself.
Yeah, God, it's funny because when you think of, like, when you try to think of the really bad ones, and there are a lot of them. I mean, my brain's not working tonight, but then it's like you go back to like I'm sorry, I thought the Punjabi prison match, as dumb on paper and as much as I talk about it on this show, on paper was fucking brilliant. Like, you couldn't have got like a cooler idea for a match. As much as people want to disagree with me, I mean, the Boiler Room Brawls are some like SummerSlam, what was it, 97? 96?
That sounds right. 96.
96, yeah, because 97 was Bret Hart Undertaker, so it had to be 96 Mankind Undertaker. Easily one of the greatest fucking matches I've ever seen. And on paper, it should have been a really, I mean, even Big Show, Mankind, Backlash 99, that was a great fight. And Mick Foley actually fucking hurt himself on one of the prop glasses that he smashed over the Big Show. I mean, the casket match, like all these matches that should have been really dumb,
yeah,
that actually worked out. God, do we have any other tweet? I actually this week, I don't hate our listeners. Like, I love our listeners. I think these are fucking great questions.
Let me see. What else do we got? Metal Mocha, if I'm pronouncing that right. Hogan's getting one last run. Is that I mean, that's the rumor. Is that really happening, or do you want to see that at all?
I don't want to see it because I don't give a shit about Hogan anymore. But I absolutely believe him and Bully Ray are going to go for the title.
Yeah.
And I do think Brooke Hogan's going to play. Brooke Hogan and Sting are going to be very much involved in that. I think one way or another, Bully Ray is either retaining or Hulk Hogan's getting the belt on a technicality somehow, some way.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's going to get one last run. But for me, I was growing up as a kid, I didn't have the Hogan Wrestle Buddy. I had the Ultimate Warrior one. Like, I was 110% Ultimate Warrior guy. Like, I was even a Sid Vicious guy. Like, I hated Hogan that much even as a kid. Like, I just was never... there was something about the, say your prayers, drink your milk, take your... Like, it didn't resonate with me. Like, he was Mr. Nanny. He was Suburban Commando.
Thunder in Paradise.
Yeah, like, he was a cartoon guy. Like... Roddy Piper, like, I could go down the list, man. Fucking Jake the Snake, and I have a hard on if Jake the Snake comes back this year. If Jake the Snake and fucking, I don't even want to say Scott Hall, I want to say Razor Ramon, the bad guy, make their triumphant return. Like, Jake the Snake was one of my all-time favorite, like, I don't want to even say wrestler, because I didn't love him as a wrestler. I loved him as a fucking character. Like, he was awesome. Oh my god, like, I just hated Hogan because it just wasn't something. I mean, I'm 127 pounds, if that, right now. So, like, the muscle bound, like, and you could argue, like, Warrior was, like, chiseled from stone, but Warrior was a nut job in a painted face and tassels. Like, I loved guys like Macho Man and Ultimate Warrior because they were characters. Hogan seemed like the jock in high school who you just really, like, you wanted to put the face paint on and, like, get in the locker room tied to a chair and just cut these, like, yeah. Like, you want to cut these, like, awful promos with, like, you wanted to be, like, the purple gloves, be like, death has found you. Like, you just wanted to be, like, a fucked up, like, oh my god, like, Columbine, what is this?
Oh, shit.
I'm not going to shoot you, I'm just going to take your soul. Like, Hogan seemed like that, just really, that the whole bravado of, like, I'm an American hero, like, fuck you. Like, Sergeant Slaughter was the American hero. He was on G.I. Joe, mind you. Like, it was just one of those things where it was like, Mankind, like, Mick Foley, holy fuck. Like, if you could not relate to a wrestler more than you could Mick Foley. You know what I mean? Like, and I mean, that interview, and even Vince said it was a compelling interview where Mankind did the interview kind of through Mick Foley's voice, talking about eating worms and the first time he ever, like, saw himself bleed and shit like that. Like, that was a character. That was an actual person vicariously through the character. Hogan is just, I don't know, like, promoting energy bars and just, like, mix, the smoothies and, like, I'm Hulk Hogan, fuck you. Like, Ultimate Warrior was a comic book character come to life. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, he's nuts, he's fucking crazy, and nobody wants to work with him, but I had all the Ultimate Warrior comic books. Like, to me, he was a wrestler and he was a superhero, but he was a superhero incarnate. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotcha.
So I don't really give a fuck if he has a final run. I didn't care when he had his first run. That didn't even exist yet. I was barely sperm in a ball sack, so what do I care?
All right. We have a retweeter from, well, not a retweeter, somebody who's tweeting us again. He tweeted us last week. The Masked Wrestler 1. He wants to know, what's your favorite wrestling moment ever?
Again, fuck you, because that's such a hard question. Because, believe it or not, in the past, like, 40 years, I've had so many. And I'm sure Jason, and again, Jason, we do the show Marks and Commentary. Jason knows more about wrestling than I do. Like, I love wrestling, but Jason knows it. Like, you post on the Facebook, you post these matches, I'm like, holy fuck, I forgot that match even happened.
Yeah.
To ask us what our favorite match is, like, what do you want me to say? Hell in the Cell, Undertaker, Mick Foley? Fuck you.
And like, besides, anything we say, it's going to sound marky and like, well, you're just playing up to that. You know what I mean?
Right. Like, I could tell you shit. One of my favorite matches was Ken Shamrock, Undertaker, Backlash 99. And you're going to be like, oh, you're trying to go obscure because you're a hipster. No. When fucking Ken Shamrock picked up Undertaker and he was going to body slam or tombstone him, and fucking Undertaker just had that. And again, Undertaker, like I said, he's not the greatest wrestler. And he's got some athleticism, and this is one of the few athletic, like, holy fuck moments where Undertaker reverses it, Ken Shamrock into the tombstone. Like, that was such, like, a mark moment for anyone that gave a shit about, like, moves. Because you're just like, holy fuck, dude, like, that's awesome. Like, A, that Shamrock got him up like that, but Taker fucking reversed it. I mean, was that, like, a 4-star match? Fuck no, but neither was S.A. Rios and Eddie Guerrero at Backlash 2000, and that was an awesome fucking match. And I mean, it had so many botches, but it had so many great spots in it. I mean, Mr. Kennedy, Undertaker, Armageddon.
Yeah,
that was a great fucking match. Do you have like a definitive match?
I don't know. Like, it's so tough. Like, to pick anything. Like, if I was to pick like a moment or anything, like, that's so tough. Like, different moments have different meanings to me. Like, 2005 One Night Stand, that's an amazing, like, moment in history, like, completely. Like, me being at WrestleMania this year is different than that, but I can't, like, separate one from the other. So,
well, again, do you go by pop? Do you go by move? Do you go by, because the first time I saw the Van Daminator,
exactly,
holy fucking shit, like, all right, so you throw up a chair and you do the fucking kick. And it's like, I remember the cover of the first ECW PlayStation game. And the game was terrible. That game fucking sucked. It was like watered down Warzone.
Yeah.
The reason I bought that game was because of the cover. Was fucking Van Damme doing the Van Daminator to Jerry Lynn. And just being like, I could live to be fucking 100. I will never be able to do that to somebody. And that is the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen a human being do to another human being.
Yeah.
Like, I was beside myself when you posted this on the Facebook page. Kane grabbing X-Pac by the fucking throat. Yep. Like, all right, this isn't going to work. And fucking chokeslamming him onto Jarrett. And they won the fucking tag titles. Holy fuck, dude. Like, the first time I ever officially marked out was Livewire. And I remember watching that Raw, because that was like the build-up to Backlash. Watching that Raw, and then seeing it again on Livewire, and like, I think it was like the Castrol GTX, whatever, Slam of the Week. And seeing it again and being like, holy fuck, that's a mark out. I'm realizing right then and there, like, that's a mark out moment.
Yeah.
Like, here's a team that shouldn't have worked, and bam, in one move. I mean, again, Vince McMahon, there was a Raw where, was it leading into I don't remember, but I remember telling my buddy Nick down the street, down the block from this kid, Nick Gregory, like, there was a Raw where fucking the corporate ministry came out and were beating everybody up, and then Vince just, the entire WWF locker room comes out and fucks up the corporate ministry. Mark out moment. Like, it wasn't even a match. It was just like a way to end a Raw. Like, you know, like Road Dogg versus Billy Gunn at Over the Edge 99. That was an awesome fucking match, if you ask me. A lot of people disagree. I thought that was an awesome fucking match. Billy Gunn taking the tape off his wrist and choking Underdog with it, and then, or did I call him Underdog? Road Dogg with it. Wow. Okay, Eddie. And fucking taking the fucking, you know, the hammer for the bell and hitting him between the eyes with it. Like, that was fucking awesome to me as a kid. There's no real answer to that. I'm sorry. There's no real answer.
That's an unanswerable question.
I mean, I've only given you fucking 98 to 99, and I've been watching since 91, and I can vaguely remember most of it, because, you know, I'm 25, and it's like, shit, do I still have those VHS tapes around? Like, or the fact that I've been drinking, my memory's terrible, but there's so many great fucking moments in wrestling, and I mean, even WCW moments. I mean, there weren't a ton in WCW, but there were definitely quite a few.
Stuff that you went, wow, like, that's pretty cool, like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, ECW, TNA, like, there's stuff that I've seen where I'm just like, holy shit. Like, I go even most recently, Bully Ray Sting. I actually thought that was a great match.
Yeah, that was fun.
And I wasn't even saying that because I was there for it. And, you know, because the fact is I might not have seen it otherwise, but I was there for it, and I did see it. And that was actually... It was a spot match. Like, that match wasn't wrestling, it was all spots. And honestly, watching Bully Ray pull the fucking ring mat apart to expose the wood to fucking pile drive Sting, not once, but I think it was twice, right? Twice or three times.
I think he did 3 pile drivers in the match.
Yeah, I want to say, like, probably 3. That was fucking awesome. And to most people, they'd be like, oh, fuck you. But no, like, that's what wrestling fans live for, is like, I didn't see that fucking coming. Like, I'm not even a TNA fan, and even I didn't see that coming. So...
Yeah. We got a couple more if you want to power through.
If you want to go through a few more before we wrap things up.
Yeah. At Larlar23. WrestleMania 4 through 6 stand out as epic to him. What's your greatest WrestleMania?
Ooh. All right. I'm going to go the cage match of WrestleMania 2. Yeah. King Kong, Bundy, Hogan. That's one.
It's not a match. It's just the whole complete...
Oh, the whole complete show.
The complete package.
Oh, I'm a sucker for WrestleMania. Maybe it's because the very first WrestleMania I ever saw, WrestleMania 8. I mean, you go back and you're probably going to be like, dude, those matches all fucking sucked. And I'd probably look at it and be like, you're probably right. But WrestleMania 12... WrestleMania 13, no, because it only had a few good matches. Obviously, the one that took place Boston, WrestleMania 14.
Yep.
I'm man enough to admit WrestleMania 15 sucked. 16 sucked. Or WrestleMania 2000. WrestleMania 17 was awesome. I'm sorry. Yep. WrestleMania 10, hands down. One of my favorites.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. I went back recently and watched WrestleMania 21. That's a damn good show.
Now,
especially
that was the Hollywood one, right?
Yeah, that's the Hollywood one.
No, I was going to say, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just wondering because I'm picturing the logo in my head. And just being like, I do remember, like, top matches for you on that one?
Everything. Randy Orton and The Undertaker, like, that was the Mania that kind of set forth the next 10 years. Because you had Batista going over, you had... Randy Orton lost, but he got made in that match with The Undertaker. Cena won. So many. The Edge won Money in the Bank. So it kind of, like, set forth the wheels for the next 10 years. So that's one that sticks out to me.
But, like, under your head, like, Mania 1 through... recently, like, do you have like a definitive, like, this is the one for you, or?
14's like probably my go-to answer, just because I could probably watch that on a loop like forever. But I don't know. Like, I feel like I give that answer too much, but that's probably exactly why I give it.
I think it's blasphemy to say, because that did take place in Boston. That was the Austin era. If I had to go Manias as of now, WrestleMania 20. And then WrestleMania 14.
Okay.
Again, I don't condone what Benoit did to his family, but I gotta say that I'm sorry, that triple threat match.
Yeah.
4 fucking star. Undertaker Kane. The match wasn't good, but Undertaker's fucking return. The Goldberg fucking Brock Lesnar bullshit, whatever. But there were so many great matches. John Cena beating the Big Show, like the opening match. I actually really liked that match, even though it wasn't a great match to begin with, but I just really liked it. Like,
at the time, like, who he was, where he was going, you enjoyed it.
Yeah, like The Rock and Foley versus Evolution. I liked that match. Like, there were a shit ton of matches I loved on that. What was it? Now I'm trying to remember if it was just Y2J versus Christian, or that was when they were in the tag team against Lita.
No, that was Christian and Jericho, and then Trish came down and smacked them, and then made out with Christian at the end.
Memory's a little fuzzy, but yeah, like, that was even a good match. Eddie Guerrero Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
No, that's definitely one that's up there.
Feed me more tweets, Jason.
Let's see. This kind of ties into one we already touched upon from MATO83. Where do you see Daniel Bryan's momentum going after Payback? Yeah.
After Payback, I agree. I think the dirt sheet... I hope it's pointing to SummerSlam.
Yeah.
And then eventually WrestleMania 30. That's what I'm hoping for, but I can't say definitively that's where it's going.
Yeah. That kind of sums up all of our Twitters this week, or tweets this week.
If I can honestly, like, not in like a weird, drunken, stumbly way, say, like, please, if you're gonna tweet us, be awesome tweeters like that, because I actually like. That's the thing, is I don't want to be a mark, and I genuinely hate wrestling fans, but I love being a wrestling fan when those are the kind of questions we're being asked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, don't ask me stupid mark questions. Ask me actual fucking wrestling questions. Like, favorite move, favorite theme, favorite pay-per-view. I'm not going to give you the answer you probably want to hear because of the title of the show. Like, we're supposed to be marks. We're supposed to, like, get off on this. Because it's, everybody starts off in watching wrestling at a different... Like, Kathryn, for example, didn't start watching it like 5 or 6 years ago. She's very green, as they say, in terms of wrestling, but, like... I don't have a definitive, like, the starting point for me was, like, Saturday Night Main Event, WrestleMania 8, into Buried Alive in Your House, to, like, Al Snow, interfering in the Goldust Bob Holly match to get Bob Holly a backlash. Like, that's what I remember, what I mean? And it's fragmented. It's so fragmented, but there's a lot of great stuff there.
Yeah. Before we go, I do have to mention... at Marking Out, it's a fellow wrestling podcast. They gave us a nice shout out. I'm returning the favor. If you guys, once you're done with us, subscribing to us on iTunes, head over there, subscribe to them, check them out. They're a website, or excuse me, a podcast that was on another website, which I'm not going to mention because fuck them.
This is the one we got dropped from, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the one we got dropped from. Fuck them. But at least we had asked to be on the website. They never got asked to have their show put on the website. The person that was running the website just decided to put it up there. That ain't right in my book. So fuck them. Not Marking Out. Go listen to them. Fuck the website. And I don't know. Yeah, go check them out.
Yeah, Jason,
at Marking Out.
We haven't even been a podcast for that long. Jason's already got grudge matches with people. For good reason, though. I'm not going to argue. Like I said, I'm not as hands-on as Jason. But I think a lot of it is just don't be shitty. Like, we're all wrestling fans here. Just, like, you know, keep it cool.
If you get an idea from someplace, just say where you got the idea from. That's all I'm asking.
I'm not saying Jason and I have the most original ideas. I mean, yeah, for the most part, like, I can't cite anything tonight because I'm not feeling original tonight. I just feel like talking. But if we come up with an original idea, yeah, give credit where credit's due, man. Because I can tell you, having worked in radio for as long as I did, originality is not a thing anymore. Like, you borrow all the time. And I mean, just give fucking again, Jason works his fucking ass off. I do barely any work for the Twitter and, like, all this shit. Whatever you're hearing, and Jason can argue this, like, oh, you're breaking the fourth wall, you're dropping pipe bombs, blah. That's all Jason. Like, if you're going to rip off Jason, you're going to piss me off because he's doing all the work. Don't you steal Jason's work. He's doing all the work. I'm not. The only time you'll hear from me is when you're pissing off Jason. But, no, I mean, I love and support a lot of these wrestling podcasts. 'Cause it's dudes like us. Like, poor Jason had to wait for, like, what? Like, 20 minutes until my stupid HP computer. Like, he's a very patient man, ladies and gentlemen. Kathryn joked that everybody hates it. They don't hate him because they know he's patient. He has to deal with me. But, like, a lot of people have technology we don't. So when we come up with ideas, just give us fucking credit for them. Don't rip us off. Don't be a shithead. Like, there's a lot of people out there that just want to talk about wrestling. And eventually, I'm hoping we can get a lot of these people on the show. I just haven't done it yet or let Jason let it happen yet because we're still growing. Like, this is, what, episode 8? Like, we're nowhere where we want to be. I mean, I don't even know where we want to be. We just want to be two guys talking about wrestling. But, I mean, I love the tweets. I'm sad that nobody calls, but I get it. 978-276-9418. But if you're not going to call the number, if you're not going to call us, at least at MO Commentary on Twitter.
Yeah, follow us on Facebook. That's what I'd love to see. If you're listening to the show right now, pull out your iPhone, your iPad, whatever you're listening to, go online, find us on Facebook, Marks on Commentary. You can't fucking miss us. I'm posting photos, I'm posting videos. You can talk to us, we'll talk to you back. I want to make, like, a community that everybody can be involved with. So
if we have a community, I'll start talking. Now, quick sheets rundown. What do you got for me, Jason?
You know, just some stuff that's happened throughout the week. We already touched on Punk's new theme. I've heard that that's just a joke, so I'm hoping that's the case. But MVP says he'll be back on US TV in 2013.
I don't, and I was even I read this a few weeks ago when he posted this. I don't think it's what we think it is.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be WWE. Although I hope, because I actually really liked MVP.
Yeah.
But
he was a good push shy of being, like, a world heavyweight champion.
I don't know right now. Like, I don't, and that could be, like, the curveball of the year. I don't think he's alluding to, like, oh, I'm going to be on WWE television, but you never know.
I kind of see, because there is a relationship with him and Conan, that he could be a part of that, what's that, El Rey Network, AAA, like, U.S. contingent that's supposedly coming sometime later this year. So that's where I almost put him as going. I don't see him necessarily going to TNA.
I don't see him being a TNA guy. I don't at all.
Yeah. Let's see. Christian's return now being made a priority.
I hope. And that's the thing. Like, I don't praise him. I fucking love Christian.
Yeah.
I think. I'm sorry, but the what was it? The Riley shit. Oh my God, what was the argument? It was between him and fucking The Miz. Randy Riley, Jimmy. I remember seeing that live and almost peeing my pants. I was laughing so hard. Christian was the only guy who could make that fucking thing work.
Yeah.
He's been the guy. He's made everything work. I fucking love Christian. I can't wait to see him back, and I really hope he gets one more match.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's just kind of sad. I would like to see him go back to being a heel because I think that's where he was strongest when he was in that run with Randy. And, you know, when he's heel, when he's face, he's kind of, you know, translucent. You don't really notice him that much.
Because this is the thing with the whole heel face dilemma that I was discussing earlier. If you've outed yourself as being a decent human being, you're fucked. Because you'll be a heel or you'll be a babyface. It doesn't matter. We all love you because we're just like, dude, you seem like a decent person. You're a great fucking performer. I'm not going to boo your ass out of the arena, even if you're being the biggest twat. Like, I think you're fucking awesome. Like, that's Christian's problem. He will never be a top player. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. Like, I'm saying, like, he'll never be one of, like, the Vince McMahon guys. because he made the biggest mistake you can make in wrestling, which is the world knows he's a good guy. And that he genuinely loves wrestling, he cares about people. You can't do that. Like, you just can't. But you know what? I don't give a fuck. It's Christian. Like, I love that guy. I think he's entertaining as shit. I think he's fucking talented as all hell. I think he's a future Hall of Famer. And I hate when people say, like, oh, no, Christian's a future Hall of Famer. Fuck you. Like, Matt and Jeff Hardy, even if I want to hate to admit that, they're future Hall of Famers in the WWE.
Absolutely.
Like, he's a future Hall of Famer. He's paid his fucking dues. He's done some shitty gimmicks and made them work. He's had some amazing matches. I'm just excited to have him. Like, I fucking miss Christian.
Yeah. I don't know what caused him. Like, he just kind of disappeared, like, what was it, last year, and just it never was really explained. I don't even know what he went out with an injury with. Was it?
I think, if I'm to speculate, I think it's a combination thing. I think it's partial injury, partial politics, and just exhaustion. Like, okay. I mean, Christian's been working his fucking ass off since he's been in the industry. That I think a lot of it's just kind of like, why am I not where these guys... Like, I remember reading a dirt sheet a while back where it said, like, the WWE didn't really hold him to the kind of esteem they held Edge. I mean, the way they view Christian, to my knowledge, was like, oh, yeah, he'd be a great agent someday, but...
Yeah.
And to me, that's kind of insulting, because it's like, all right, like, Billy Gunn is an agent. Did they say that about him? Because Billy Gunn can still go if he wanted to. Like, Billy Gunn, in my mind, is still a future WWE champion if he wanted that. If he could get the company behind that. Because the fans are already behind Billy Gunn. Fuck you. Billy Gunn's another one of those guys where he's admitted his mistakes along with,
Road Dogg.
Road Dogg. Yeah, like X-Pac even. They've admitted their mistakes. They've been drug addicts. They've been, just total shitbags. But when push comes to shove, like, Billy Gunn is one of the most, like, greatest success stories I've ever seen in terms of, coming back from something like that and still being able to bring it in the ring. And,
All right. We saw what happened with Ziggler and now Fandango, WWE's new policy when dealing with concussions. Any perspective on that?
It kind of pisses me off because they lose TV time, but I know they're taking this Benoit thing very serious. Again, it's how badly do you want to see your favorite wrestler? Is it an argument of quality of television or quality of life?
Yeah.
Because I am still, to this day, and this is going to sound really corny, I haven't really worked through my grief of Stone Cold being where he's at now because of the Owen Hart injury with the piledriver neck break. And I mean, Chris Benoit was one of my favorites. For him to go psychotic like that and kill his family, I mean, this is a human being we're talking about. I mean, this is no longer a wrestler, and now he's literally doesn't exist in wrestling. If that's due to concussions, then do what you got to do to protect these guys. Because if there's one thing I hate more than anything, it's if it's not seeing, like, The Undertaker. I remember 99 to 2000 felt like the longest stretch of like 8 or 9 months when Taker wasn't on TV. But the guy legitimately has had some injuries over the years. Can I survive the 8 or 9 months as a fan as long as I get my favorite wrestler to squeeze a few more years out of him? Absolutely. If we could have had that with Austin or Benoit or anyone like that, it sucks because you don't. The quality of the show suffers, but the quality of life improves for these guys. Like, that's like Punk. That's the whole reason Punk left, because he's injured.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see Punk limping out to the fucking ring giving it half-ass, because I, not only as a fan am I disappointed, but as someone who genuinely cares about a guy that I don't even know, who just happens to be one of my favorite wrestlers, I don't want to see the guy fucking handicap himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I gotcha.
I don't hate the idea. It's disappointing as a fan, but at the same time, I get it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the worst injury. I mean, it is, but it isn't for a wrestling fan because, they go down for a month, but, it's better than a broken leg or better than a broken arm. Not for the wrestlers themselves, I'm saying, in perspective for a fan that's like, well, I don't get to see my guy. If he broke his neck, he'd be out for a year.
Break your neck, tear a quad, like, there are worse things that could happen. Like, I'm still waiting for Evan Bourne. I don't know what the fuck happened to him. Between the spices and the injuries, I have no idea. I'm disappointed as a fan because whatever he did physically or just narcotically, I don't know.
Yeah.
But at the time, Air Boom was one of my favorite fucking tag teams. So I don't know what happened. I don't know. I can only speculate, but I think that's when it's hard for wrestling fans because you got to separate yourself from a fan to a human being and say, like, I'm entertained by this person, but I don't want to see this person fucking crippled. Like, Draws, for example, like, it still breaks my heart. Like, Draws was not one of my favorite wrestlers, but he just seemed like a great guy. Like, he seemed like a genuinely down-to-earth, cool guy. I don't want to see something like that happen to my favorite wrestlers. And that brings, other things to play, but we could talk about them on a future show. But 978-276-9418. I would love to get more voices in the voicemail, but if not, again, at MO Commentary on Twitter, Marks on Commentary Facebook. Please like us because I would love to get more input there, as Jason said, to make a community out of this thing. But I don't know, brainstorm, I guess. Brainstorm, like worst gimmicks in WWE, worst gimmick matches. Give us... I would love to hear, instead of Jason and I always telling you who we think is going to win or lose, you tell us. You know what I mean? So
chime in. We can do a hotline or something like that, and
Well, you tweet during the fucking pay-per-view, so have more input there. At MO Commentary on Twitter. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So again, 978-276-9418 at MO Commentary. Marks on Commentary on Facebook. I'm Eddie Brophy.
I'm Jason Smith.
And this is Marks on Commentary. See you next week.